celebrating 9 years of podcast excellence. The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Now, I do have my criticisms of WrestleMania 38. I'm not going to deny that it was a good show tonight. It was a spectacle, and we got a number of really big moments that happened with Cody Rhodes coming back after a 6-year hiatus, makes it back in, prodigal son returns, great match against Seth Rollins, great match. Stone Cold Steve Austin and the surprise of the KO show turning into a no-holds-barred match, and Stone Cold did as good as you could expect, better than expected, to see him go out there and run a match that he hasn't done in 19 years. The match was the right kind of match to have. Kevin Owens did a great job holding it down, and the crowd ate it up. 77,000 plus. The said attendance, listen, they did a good job tonight. The spectacle, to make that work, they had a good night one. No doubt about it. The first 90 minutes, I didn't think we needed to necessarily see, because it was just a nicer version of Smackdown, in my own opinion. But that's okay. It was still, they didn't do anything where I was disappointed. And we had some good matches tonight where Bianca Belair is once again women's champion on the Raw side, really redeeming what happened to her at SummerSlam last year. And then where Charlotte Flair still is able to retain the SmackDown Women's title, but then we know that down the line, Ronda's going to have to get her chance back at her again somewhere down the line. So you have that to set up. But it still comes down to the fact that there is no real future down the line for this company, and they are really running on the legacy that they have. The fact they had to go and pull Stone Cold Steve Austin out tonight to headline the first night of WrestleMania, and to make sure they didn't just give us a KO show with a little bit of plunder. No, they gave us a full match. Surprisingly enough, we actually got a full match out of that altogether, and I was really surprised by it. So I give them credit. They did it. And I can't believe they were able to go and pull that off, what they did. So when I look at the matches, they gave a lot of time to a lot of matches tonight so far. The no-holds-barred match, that went 13 minutes, 55 seconds. And all the other matches were not overly big and long. 21 minutes for Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Becky Lynch and Belair got 19 minutes. And then you had some shorter matches off the top. And overall, we'll go through the matches tonight. But when I look at things, and I really gave myself, I was just very critical. Because I want the company to have a future. And there's not one right now. And that's my biggest problem about this show. Where is the future of this company? Where are we seeing something that's going to be a legacy going forward? Where are some new upcoming stars that are going to be brought up to the forefront? We didn't see much of that tonight. And that is something that concerns me a lot. Because tomorrow we're going to see a lot of veteran stars that are going to have their moments. And they're going to do great matches tomorrow. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Edge, name them. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. You got a lot of stars there, but really a lot of stars that are also older. Randy Orton, a lot of 40-something-year-olds that you could expect to be out there for a while. But at this time in their careers, you want to be able to have some younger stars to work with them to get them moving forward. And there's not enough of those guys out there to be the next generation. There is no next generation of WWE superstars right now. They don't have enough. Not even close. And some of those stars have gone. And so are they going to just stick to free agents or doing things like that until we get to the point? Because we also saw NXT Stand and Deliver tonight. And I'll talk about that as well. Because I saw that, I'm saying, where's the future in that group, in that crop of stars in the same vein? I had issues about that too, but we're going to go all throughout that right here. Let's talk about it here. WrestleMania Night 1. We're going to talk about NXT Stand and Deliver, and I will also make comments. I watched last night Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, Tony Khan booking that show. A fantastic start to WrestleMania weekend. I did not catch Impact Wrestling's Multiverse of Matches. I'm going to try to catch that later on when I get a chance, and once I do, I'll make some comments. Hopefully I get to watch it before night 2 tomorrow. But we're going to go through those 3 cards tonight here on the program. And we start off with WrestleMania 38. I'm not going to go into match by match by match kind of deal, but we're going to just make comment. So the first 90 minutes, Smackdown, of matches we've seen over and over again. Usos, Nakamura, and Boogs. Boogs getting hurt. It looks like he's going to be out for a while, and that's a star in the making, hopefully boosting up. That was the one young star you had that was being pushed forward. And while he's there, there's a lot behind him in terms of his wrestling career. Matt Bloom was the one that trained him, and he's done quite a bit of work. And now, unfortunately, he's going to be off for a while with a patella tendon injury, and that's going to suck for him. But that was somebody that's right there. Shinsuke Nakamura is just like in a spot. I don't know what happens after that next. But the Usos winning, this was a match just because the Usos, they wanted to give them a place on the card. They have not built up any tag team opponents for them whatsoever. So they're just stuck there being the placeholders for these titles, and there is nobody going up against them. And by the way, I thought there was a match. Oh, no, there was a match it looked like it was scheduled for Saturday, but it was pushed to Sunday as New Day and Sheamus and Rich Holland. So that's the other night. But these are matches you started off the night with, so you had a slow start. Drew McIntyre against Happy Corbin, 8 minutes, 35 seconds, and Drew McIntyre wins, and then Madcap Moss tries to confront, and then McIntyre uses Angela to go ahead and break down a couple of ropes. I don't know why that was such a big deal, but that's what he decided to do. Now, the packages they did for everything to lead up to all these matches were great. As always, the post-production of WWE is always able to go ahead and put the best foot forward out of a lot of raw footage that was bad. They know, and that's the best part for them. And I wish they took more time to let these stories fester and let the post-production happen to help explain things and do more of that, because they're better at that than they are doing the stuff live and as it happens on the fly, because it doesn't work. It's like you're putting it on stage and it's not in its purest, perfectly timed, staged form, which is what they want, which is why they have things timed out, which is why they have things scripted. But that's their normal modus operandi. But that's what they did. These were 2 matches, the first 2, that basically we could have seen anytime. Anytime on SmackDown, rehashed. We've seen these matchups over and over in some way, shape, or form. If it wasn't in singles action, if it wasn't in tag team action, whatever it might be, we always see Drew McIntyre with Happy Corbin for months going on. Same thing with Usos, Nakamura, and Boogs. It's that same. Well, before that it was Usos and New Day, but now we're at this again, where Nakamura was running with the IC title, and now they moved him into this tag team title feud, which really has meant nothing. But they're obviously were making work to get Rick Boogs over and to do more with him, and look where we are now. Miz and Logan Paul against Rey Mysterio and Dominik Mysterio. They tell a great story and the package leading up to how the Mysterios came together, and how Dominik has been in front of on the cameras for a long time, and building up the whole story with them. No titles in this, which is fine. And Logan Paul did not embarrass himself out there. Listen, he's good enough of an athlete to adapt into wrestling, much like he did boxing. He's an adept boxer, and he's not bad. He's obviously not great, depending on the talent he gets. Because if he took on a real, I don't know if he's going to take Mayweather at any time, and that's going to be a thing. I don't know if that'll ever happen. But that was a talk for a while. But Logan Paul, he looked good out there. He took this seriously. Did the Three Amigos, really good heat for Logan Paul and The Miz throughout the night. Rey and Dominik, obviously the real super baby faces here. And the match was fine. Logan Paul getting screwed by The Miz, that was a nice touch. Something different. But now Miz and Logan Paul, I guess they have something to do with each other now going forward. That's fine. Listen, if Logan Paul's going to continue working with the company for a bit, and they can have a WrestleMania Backlash match, that's fine too. I ain't got no problem with that. And then the night really takes off, because right into the fourth match, the Raw Women's title, Bianca, Belair, and Becky Lynch So Becky Lynch looked like something out of, I'm trying to think what movie, not Blade Runner. I'm trying to think some kind of futuristic movie. Almost like a La Femme Nikita kind of thing, with like the straightened red hair cut, very stylish, and Bianca Belair coming out to a great rendition of her theme song with the band. And the band is one of those, so Texas Southern University, hell of a band. I love a band that's got some groove. That's like the FAMU 100 or Bethune-Cookman, or like pick a good HBCU drum line, give me that. And that's what they gave to Bianca Belair, and it was rocking. Loved it. They were just on point. That was fun. So Seth Rollins, we all thought it was going to be Shane McMahon. I thought it was going to be Shane McMahon for sure. I did not think they were going to go with Cody. They gave Cody his music. He came out basically as an AEW star that has brought his entire American Nightmare gimmick over to WWE, and that's the best thing they could have done. So he proved himself. This is another example of what like Bobby Lashley or Drew McIntyre were able to do. They were able to go ahead and get their chip on their shoulder. And Cody Rhodes is the best example of a chip on his shoulder where, I mean, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley went to other organizations. Bobby Lashley went to MMA, Bellator, and Impact Wrestling and really honed his craft. Drew McIntyre worked overseas, worked in Impact Wrestling, really honed his craft. They both became amazing when they went out to other pastures. Then they come back to the company, and they're just that much better. So Cody Rhodes right now, 36 years old, by the way, still in his career, he was going to get lost in the shuffle in AEW. And he could have, I mean, if he wasn't a front office person, which sounds like what it was going to be, then Tony Khan had control of where things were, but Cody Rhodes is responsible for the first 3 years of that organization. So a lot of credit to Cody Rhodes for being one of the pioneers, one of the trendsetters, one of the people that were the pillars of creating the competition for WWE now going forward. And not so much competition direct, but being the other wrestling alternative that everybody was looking for. That other place, like WCW was, for other wrestlers to get the exposure, be out there, and be noticed. And being able to wrestle in a style that is more to them, which is what they're doing now in AEW. And Cody Rhodes proving himself, going to Ring of Honor, going to New Japan, able to get together with Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, getting that meeting with Tony Khan, and all of a sudden, the whole thing comes into play. And after he has finished the job, he is back in the WWE, and he's a star. He's instantly a main event star. And he has to stay at that spot. He has to be at the level right now. And listen, they gave him the right spot with Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins is that high of a main event star. Like, this could have been a co-main event match. You know, you really kind of had 3 main events, because Cody and Seth was main event quality. Like, those guys are really, they're headliners in their own respects. Seth Rollins doesn't always get to go the headline, but he totally is. He's earned that spot. And for somebody to go after Cody in this match, this was the right match. And they gave it all out there. Lots of near falls, great moves. Cody might have been a little bit rusty, but overall the match was solid. Very good match. I can watch these guys work together. And I'd like to see Cody Rhodes getting out there and working it. And he got to work as American Nightmare. No changing back of the old gimmicks, nothing. He is, and the story needs to be said about Cody coming back, serving a purpose. Chip on his shoulder coming here. His father had the same thing happen because he came from another organization that he built up. He goes to the World Wrestling Federation, does not get used properly, but his sons get to run through the gambit here in WWE, right? Under different gimmicks, not as themselves. But Cody has earned the right to wrestle under his given name and to go out here and be the star that he wanted to be. Not Stardust, which I like the ode to Stardust that he did during the match. and the ode to his dad doing the bionic elbow. Like, it was just wonderful. It was kismet. It was just enjoyable to see him out there working again. And WWE, whether they do realize it or not, they absolutely needed this caliber of star in their company right now. Cody Rhodes could be a credible, okay, depending on what happens with Lesnar and Reigns, and if those belts eventually split up again, I can see where Cody Rhodes will get the same treatment where Bobby Lashley or Drew McIntyre did, where they'll make him WWE champion. Because I think he'll go to Raw. He will not be SmackDown. There's nobody ready to take Roman Reigns, and I don't think Cody Rhodes is the answer. Like, you could have Cody Rhodes as an opponent to Roman Reigns, absolutely. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Cody Rhodes has a lot of opponents he can go after, so there's a lot of work that he can do with a lot of different stars. If you want to put it with AJ Styles, Edge, pick them. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, there's a lot of different stars to work with, a lot of fresh matches for Cody Rhodes to work on. So there's a plethora of things for him to do, and that's going to be helpful for everybody out there. And then you just need to keep him at a very strong level. And that's what's important. Because they could easily make the mistake and bring him back down to the mid-card and really, just take away all the work he's done to build himself back up. Because the company couldn't do it for him. The company didn't want to do it for him. He had to do it himself. And unfortunately, that's the normal trend of this company. You have to do it yourself. You have no choice. So now, Cody and Seth freaking Rollins, great match. Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. Listen, they're going to work well together, and they did. A lot of good submissions here. Referee plunder. No surprise here with Charlotte getting the win like she did in heel fashion. It was fine. This was not the match I wanted to have, because I wish Ronda Rousey would have gone after Becky Lynch, but that's not here. And now things change because, Bianca Belair is the new Raw Women's Champion, redeeming everything in a great match. The match they could have had, but they chose not to do it right away. And I think what they did with Bianca Belair was more than enough for her when she did the chase to the belt this time around. It was more than enough to build her up to that top star now, because she is now the new face of that women's division. A new face. Not but a new face that is on top of the women's division. And there are not many right now. They don't have a lot of stars right now that they've had that have been built up to a certain point. But 2 years in to the main roster, Bianca Belair has really made herself a big star. And I'm so proud of her. She deserves this spot again. Another WrestleMania moment. She did it. It was great. Happy for her. And then for Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens, no holds barred match. People needed this. They wanted nostalgia. They want to go back. They need to live the Attitude Era one more time. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, at 57 years old, he more or less looked like himself. When he put on his garb, the black shirt, put on the knee braces, he looked like himself. Looked the same, talked the same, wrestled the same. I don't know how they got him to do it. I don't know how. But that crowd ate that up. And I don't blame him. I was in. Listen, hell of a match. Kevin Owens, that's got to be a dream match. Like, Kevin Owens getting to work with Stone Cold Steve Austin. We haven't seen him in forever. We knew he was going to be at the show. Never expected a match. That's over-delivering by WWE's part. I don't know how they were able to pull that off, but they did. It was great, and I absolutely know that people are going to be asking to see Austin wrestle again. How they're going to do it, I don't know. But it's amazing at his age he was able to do so well like he did. Listen, he did a better job than Goldberg does every time he goes out there. Period. So I'm very impressed with what they did with Cody Rhodes. Very impressed with having Stone Cold Steve Austin come back out and work again. Incredible. Really wonderful to see that. So I was really glad to go and see that all come up to fruition. Really great stuff. This night was good. I give it a B. Only because I don't need the rehash SmackDown matches at the top. It's fine. Like, I'm not complaining about them. in terms of the match quality. I'm not complaining in terms of the matches. I'm not complaining in terms of the card and what we got delivered tonight. It was all very good. You could say an A-, but I'm going to give it a B+. Because I want stars of the future. There are so many established stars right now of who they have at the moment in this card. Rick Boogs, well, he's on the shelf. Madcap Moss, I don't know if there's much here to him and where he goes going forward. Dominik Mysterio, and then you got Bianca Belair, and that's it. No other future stars in the making or being made stars at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair was the made star. She was made last year, but now she's solidified. She is a bona fide superstar. She's a bona fide main eventer. She will always be a main eventer now, for as long as she's there. She's earned her spot. She worked damn hard to get there. She is everything they need in that women's division, and they need to keep her in that belt and give her some other opponents to work off. But who she's going to work with? I mean, you could have her, maybe Asuka or Alexa Bliss will come back, and those are new, fresh opponents for her, and that'll be something to work on. Or there'll be some other stars that come up from NXT. We'll see what happens. So I got comments about NXT Stand and Deliver. Not a whole lot. I watched it. And when I get this, I'll say what I said here. So it delivered a decent card. I still don't see any bona fide WWE superstars to be made yet. Braun and Mandy, probably I see many future mid-carders that will be filling spots. So like when there's no Ricochet or Apollo Crews or Shinsuke Nakamura, then you can see a Grayson Waller or an LA Knight or a Tony D'Angelo for all people. Some of the booking decisions were rough, if any. I don't get where Tony D'Angelo, a one-dimensional caricature, a mobster. Like this is, I mean, it's not even like a new or fresh version or take on this gimmick. Okay? Tony D'Angelo is just that, and he's not even that much of a ruthless gangster, if you will. But Ciampa, now enhancing future talent, and the way they kind of had things where Triple H came out to, embrace him, at the stage, at the entrance ramp, is Ciampa now moving over to the main roster? Like, what is next for him? Because there's nothing left for him to do in NXT. Nothing left to accomplish. They took the belt off of him to Braun Breaker, and then they go here and like, okay, what's next? So, at this point, Ciampa, I don't know what he does next. I guess they're going to have to move to the main roster. There's no other choice. And they did such a great job of putting a promo together to really hype him up, only to take the loss. I don't understand that. I don't get it. But okay. But yes, there are future mid-carders on this roster of NXT that'll be filling spots of what will be the upcoming future endeavor. Just live with it. That's just the way it's going to be. And I don't get Dolph Ziggler getting another win on Braun Breaker. I don't get that either. Why is Dolph Ziggler still holding on to this belt? I mean, okay. I don't really like the decision. I don't know what it does for Braun Breaker and down the line anyway if he takes the loss on the way out. Are they going to move him up to the main roster or what? Is that the plan for him? There's nobody right now that's fresh that's being moved up that will be instantly pushed up above mid-card and become somebody. At the moment, we don't see that. And there's no answer for that either. So anyway, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, they take down Toxic Attraction. So that's going to create a rift with Mandy Rose, who was able to defend and defeat in a fatal four-way Io Shirai, Cora Jade, and Kaylee Ray for the NXT Women's title. Cameron Grimes beating Carmelo Hayes, Santos Escobar, Solo Sikoa, and Grayson Waller. Fatal five-way ladder match. NXT North American title. That was a good match. And Cameron Grimes, I'm surprised they're pushing him still. And I was surprised he got the belt. I really am. I thought he was going to want to be one of those guys who was going to be buried in all this other stuff. And so Carmelo Hayes loses the belt. And Grayson Waller had a very good run on this night. Pretty good stuff. Everybody did pretty good in this match. MSK defeating Imperium, Creed Brothers, Triple Threat, NXT Tag Team titles. And MSK, that's a mid-card team. Like, look, you want to see MSK go up against the, New Day or the Usos or RK Bro? I mean, I guess. But are they gonna really move the needle? No. And that's not judging them. It should not. They're not being booked to be anyway some overly top tag team stars. I don't think that Nash, Carter, Wesley individually are going to be anything where if there's a split up that they're going to be something bigger than they are. I don't see that either. Gunther has lost a lot of weight, or Walter. So he's being built. I feel like when Cesaro's gone, Gunther's going to be moving up to be the new Cesaro. The new, like, Alexander Kozlov, the new Rusev. That's where I think is the role that Gunther gets. And LA Knight takes the pin. So whatever push he had is kind of by the wayside now. But he could be taking a loss to go and move up to the main roster as well. And like I said, Dolph Ziggler beats Braun Breaker. Okay, whatever. Not much sure what to really say about that. All right, let's go and move along. Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. I have quite a few things to say about that. It was a great night last night. I say it stamps a successful Ring of Honor return. You could tell Tony Khan's booking style was all over the pay-per-view. He definitely didn't deter away from the booking that was already in place. So, like, even when, had Delirious or Hunter Johnson and what he did, and, when the booking got stale, there was no staleness over here. Some of the names that AEW has on their roster, they were able to move over here for this, whether it was just some of the things they just added because of previous things, like the match that still stands out for me tonight, or that really stands out as Tag Team Classic, a clinic, was the Briscoes and FTR. What a wonderful match that was. And a lot of time for those guys, too. And you can watch those guys in the ring together for a long time. They were just fantastic together. I like seeing Totally Blanchard Enterprises creating a faction with Brian Cage, Khan, and I forget who else he had out there. And so, like, that was really good to see out there. I like where Chavo Guerrero accompanied Bandito out there to the ring for the match to unify an undisputed Ring of Honor World Champion, and Gresham comes out on top. That's great. And one thing I'll mention too, with Tully Blanchard and Chavo Guerrero, I really like the fact that you see managers. Okay? Ring of Honor really was good because you needed managers back. You needed to have some people coming out to work along the talent. Truth Martini and Prince Nana were great examples. The House of Truth and the Embassy. And now we get those kind of factions once again. I think it's very important we have those. So that's great. That's what Stokely Hathaway was partly for that, but now he's in NXT 2.0. And continues to do well over there with Diamond Mine. But in the match, in the card itself, damn good stuff at Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. Quickly, Swerve Strickland getting over Alex Zane. Brian Cage looking strong over Ninja Mac. And I like Brian Cage here in Ring of Honor. It's a nice place for him to be. Brian Cage is here with Tully Blanchard Enterprises. Great stuff. Jay Lethal and Lee Moriarty. The angle where Jay Lethal turned heel. Great. Mercedes Martinez and Willow Nightingale. So now Mercedes Martinez wins the interim Ring of Honor World's Women's title. And Deonna Purrazzo is going to have to take on Mercedes Martinez to unify that title. That's a hell of a match to have. So we're going to have to see Deonna Purrazzo come from Impact Wrestling, defend that Ring of Honor title. Great. And some interesting decisions on booking. So FTR beat the Briscoes, and if I'm right, they did say it was for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Minoru Suzuki defeated Rhett Titus. So Rhett Titus, World TV Champion, he won that at the end of Final Battle. And that was one of those, like, finally got the brass ring moments, but quickly takes it down to Minoru Suzuki, who's never won a title in the States. In quick fashion, by the way. Not a squash, but it definitely was pretty dominant. Wheeler Yuta against Josh Woods, Ring of Honor Pure title, and Wheeler Yuta wins. Hell of a match those guys had. That was good. And Gresham beating Bandito. Like, they didn't have a whole lot of matches in the card, and it was just right. They had time for FTR and Briscoes. They had a lot of time for a lot of things. Very good night. And then I'll look at the end of the night, and you're saying to yourself, man, Jay Lethal comes out against Jonathan Gresham. Those guys are going to go at it. And then you see Samoa Joe and the shocker of the night coming out all of a sudden, another debut. He's in Ring of Honor, and he confronts Jay Lethal. Damn, what a night. What a setup. Great, great wrestling this weekend. can't go wrong. So I got to look at multiverse matches. Hopefully I'll get a chance to catch that before night 2 of WrestleMania, but I'm going to keep it short because there's more to talk about tomorrow. But that's it for this Wrestling Is Real podcast. Keep it short, 30 minutes, because I know you need time for night 2. We'll come back then, 24 hours from now, because wrestling needs us. Thank you for listening to the Wrestling Is Real podcast. You can find all previous episodes at WrestlingIsReal.com or subscribe to the show on all major podcast outlets, including Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at King of Podcasts, and search King of Podcasts on YouTube, or type youtube.com/JBRASCO951. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.